Hi, my name is Javon Neely, and I will be doing my theory application project on Hannibal Lecter and The Silence of the Lambs. Uh, Hannibal Lecter is a psychiatrist turned serial killer who cannibalizes his victims. Him being a psychiatrist, there is a lot that can be said about the way he shows such a calm demeanor throughout most of the movie. He is a very patient man, even before he gets ready to attack his victims. So, Lecter can be analyzed through the Big Five personality traits and Freud's psychoanalysis theory. His Hannibal's approach seems to be analytical psychotherapy utilizing interpretation as his primary intervention. So we're going to go over Freud's psychoanalysis theory, the ID, the ego, and the superego. Starting with the ID, which is present from birth, and it is entirely unconscious and operates on instinct and impulse. Um, the ID is a primitive part of personality. When it comes to Hannibal, the urge to kill and the urge to eat human flesh are his primitive urges. Hannibal is driven by several desires, one being control. From day one, Hannibal had the desire to control Clarice. She was a student at the FBI Academy who was sent in to interview Hannibal as part of her training. Once he manipulated her into revealing personal information about herself and her family, he had full control over her. Going in, they told her boss told her not to reveal any personal information to Hannibal, but Clarice took it upon herself to do otherwise. Okay, the ego. The ego, when interacting with the world and learning about reality, is when a child's ego develops. In a spinoff of a movie, in a spinoff of the movie The Silence of the Lamb, Hannibal's childhood is the main focus. It is there that his childhood trauma is revealed. That trauma was the cause of his psychopathic behaviors. Lecter ended up witnessing his parents' death, the death of his parents, and if I'm not mistaken, the maid, and also his sister. But not only did they kill his sister, but they ate her. So he witnessed the cannibalization of his sister, which is essentially what he does to his victims. The superego, oftentimes the societal rules and moral values are learned from parents or caregivers. So by Hannibal becoming a psychiatrist, it suggested that he did learn from whoever cared for him after his parents' death. However, witnessing the death of the parents and the death and cannibalization of his sister, it kind of made way for the ID to eventually become more dominant. Okay, so we're going into the big five personality traits. That's openness, extroverted, conscientious, stability, or neuroticism, and agreeableness. So when we talk about openness, it's openness to experience. Hannibal, he was a psychiatrist, yes, but he also showed strong interest in art. While in his cell for the 8 years that he was in there, he did draw a lot. That was one of the things that he loved to do most. They even used it as like sort of a punishment. So if he wasn't doing if he misbehaved or if he wasn't acting according to what the warden felt he should, they would take his drawings away. And that was his punishment because he loved them so much. He also had a strong interest in music and philosophy. So that in turn tells us that he is very open to experience. Um, Extroversion. Hannibal in the beginning came off as an introvert. He showed little to no interest in speaking with Clarice upon their first meeting. After the first meeting, he seemed to be extroverted. It's like you couldn't get him to stop talking, especially to Clarice. He engaged in conversations with her about her childhood and about her feelings behind her childhood and what it meant. He was pretty much being a psychiatrist. Um, so he took to her really well. So it could have been just her, but we can also look at that as him being extroverted. Um, Conscientious. In one of the scenes, the warden went into the cell when they were discussing transferring him to Tennessee, in exchange for him helping the mayor get her daughter back from Buffalo Bill. Um, the warden went into Lecter's cell and was in his face, being aggressive or whatever. And he, for some reason, laid his pen on Lecter's bed. And the camera cut to Lecter's face, and you could tell in his eyes that, okay, I'm going to use this pen. I don't know what for yet, but I know it's going to come in handy. So he had already started making a plan. Like, he's already doing this planning in his head. So once they moved him to Tennessee, they transferred him to Tennessee, and he got the feel of the operation of where he was being housed, how the guards moved in and out of the out of the area where he was being housed, and how many came in, and like their routine of, handcuffing him to the cell, and their routine of who was going to come in, or what they did when they come in. Once he went in and he saw the whole operation, he then decided how he would execute his plan, the plan that he had came up with. We'll talk about neuroticism and stability. This one scene, right, that transpired right after, him knowing how he was going to execute his plan. Once the plan was executed, in order for him to escape the custody of the police or prison, he literally cut the face off of one of the guards that he had killed and wore it in order for the ambulance to think he was that guard and put him on the gurney to roll him out. And that was his exit. Neuroticism, yes, at its finest. Screams very much instability and unstable. So then we go to agreeableness. Hannibal, he didn't really care about agreeableness. At certain points throughout the movie, he had a cold, detached demeanor about people's feelings, and that suggested, his actions suggested that is not something that he was striving for. Probably throughout the whole movie, he didn't strive for agreeableness. However, at some point he may have, seeing as how he was helping people at one point or another as a psychiatrist. But yes, so that is my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much.